It's the final week of June. Baseball is in full effect. It's that time of the year. You can feel it. But what about the Clippers as well? They are on the verge of being eliminated. Can they keep their hopes alive of going to the NBA Finals? Find out in the next edition of Sideline Sports Podcast. Welcome to Sideline Sports Podcast. If you're not on the sideline, it's not Sideline Sports Podcast. Haven't seen all of us in quite some time. I know we've had the people waiting that week, but we're back, folks. We're back. We've got some great content coming at you. I know Mark has some great things coming at you. Jose is going to have some great content coming for you guys. But I'm Alex Naveja from Sideline Sports Podcast. And if you're not on the sideline, it's not a Sideline Sports Podcast, the source of your SoCal sports news. In the bottom screen below me, that is Jose Duran. He is an all-around soccer insider, but don't sleep on him because this guy can talk all SoCal sports. Jose, how you doing today? It's actually been quite some time that I've seen you on the podcast.
Doing great. Like you said, it's been a while, but I'm glad to be here back with you and Mark. A lot of action in terms of the soccer world, Euros, Copa America, Gold Cups going on, but we're here to talk baseball. We're here to talk Clippers, so excited to be back with you boys.
It's definitely been really exciting with a lot of the games being streamed on ESPN, a lot of the overseas soccer action. You guys can make sure to stay up to date with all of that. Jose will make sure to keep you guys updated. And on my left, that is Mark Vargas, NCAA football, NFL, combat sports, and NBA insider. Mark, how's it going, man? I know you've been busy lately.
Yeah, man, just been busy. Yeah, we got a lot of things going on. For those that don't know, those tuning in, exclusively on the podcast, we have a new show coming out on the Sideline Sports Network. The Center Lock Show is going to be a dedicated show towards football. We're coming up on season, and it's about that time. But Sideline Sports Podcast is not going anywhere. We took a little break last week to kind of resharpen some of the tools, and we're back. We're ready to go, and let's talk this SoCal baseball scene as well as the NBA Finals hopes for the only SoCal team left. So I'm excited for this. Let's get this thing going.
Clippers definitely keeping hopes alive for all of the SoCal fans and making sure that they can make the deepest run as possible. But before we get straight to the business, this episode of Sideline Sports Podcast was brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. They obsess over their technology developments to provide you the best tools for your grooming experience. Manscaped is trusted by over 2 million men worldwide. Let's make that 3, as we have an exclusive offer for all of our viewers, our listeners, our subscribers. It is Sideline 20, promo code Sideline 20. Go on the website, make sure to get yourself some of these products. It's elite, guys. These are good stuff. I use these things on a regular. The life on them is outrageous. You charge them for a few minutes, you use it, and it lasts almost a lifetime. I know I'm a bit exaggerating that one, but it works, guys. The shave is amazing. You get the LED light, and the life is amazing on it. So make sure, go on manscaped.com, use our promo code Sideline20 so you guys can save yourself 20% off plus free shipping. We'll take care of it. Maybe Mark will take care of the 20% and Jose will take care of the shipping, or vice versa. Maybe I'll take care of the free shipping. So let's talk about the business, boys. We got a lot to go over. Let's talk about the Friars right now. The San Diego Padres are raking right now, especially if you're Fernando Tatis and if you're Jay Cronenworth. Jay Cronenworth just winning the NL Player of the Week. And with all due respect, this guy deserves it. And this is a player that is going to be, he is up and coming. This is going to be one of the greatest second basemen in the game. And I think he's going to be like another DJ LeMahieu from the Yankees. And Fernando Tatis, he has been out of this world. Well, we can start off with Jose. What have been your thoughts so far with Fernando Tatis and the whole entire San Diego Padres company?
You know, they've been short of spectacular. I think last year when they faced the Dodgers, I think they were an up-and-coming team in the postseason. They've kind of gotten that little hump off their back in terms of getting sort of ready to go to the postseason this year. But more so outside of Tatis, I think one of the players that have been stood out to me the most have been the pitching staff from the San Diego Padres, right? Yu Darvish was the black horse here in Los Angeles after that Game 7 against Houston. Went over to Chicago, struggled there, but, you know, he's 7-2, ERA 2.4. You know, they also have Blake Snell coming over from Tampa Bay, who's actually struggling a little bit, but, you know, Joe Musgrove has been able to go ahead and pick up some of the slack there. So those two pitchers from the Padres, Yu Darvish and Joe Musgrove, I think have been essential for them to be successful this year. And I think get a little bit of oversight because of Tatis, but, you know, the Padres, 8-game winning streak over the Dodgers. I think so far for now, if you're a Dodgers fan, there's not time to panic. It's still early in the season, but it's sort of spectacular what the Padres have been able to do, man.
Well, unfortunately, they are going to be without Blake Snell for quite some time. He had to be dropped from last night's start because he was suffering an injury or an illness. And I heard it wasn't COVID related or anything, but Greg Stammen had to come out of the pen to be able to get that start for that game. So that's going to be something to keep an eye out on. And as you mentioned, yeah, Blake Snell has not, he's had some quality starts, but he's kind of been a roller coaster ride. We haven't really seen exactly the Blake Snell, the Blake Zilla, as some people call him as well, from Tampa Bay. But honestly, this Padres team, they have it all. They have the pen, they have the starters, they have the defense, they have the bats. The San Diego Padres team, they're bad. They're bad here in the West Coast, and they're really trying to hit the Dodgers really hard. But if you look at the standings right now, the Padres are behind the Dodgers, and the standings just continue to get tighter and tighter, and it just continues to be exciting baseball to watch the San Diego Padres. What are you thinking, Mark?
You know, the emergence of Fernando Tatis is something that, you know, we saw a little bit with, you know, Mike Trout coming up, you know, just taking over the game. I mean, just winning, basically being in the top 2 for AL MVP voting. For seems like every year he's been in the league, basically. So I think we're seeing a little bit of the same of the you know, the wave of how the excitement going around the league. When people, I saw a video this morning, you got fans staying, you know, 30 minutes, an hour after the game trying to get something signed. Little kids, you know, like there's excitement around this Padre franchise, which I don't know the last time there has really been any excitement, you know what I mean? But yeah, I like to compare, you know, I compare things, you know, I like to see different things throughout sports. And you know what, for me, maybe they're not at that level yet, but this team kind of reminds me of like the Phoenix Suns in a way, you know. They got that young superstar that's on the verge of becoming a national superstar, you know, or, you know, he's pretty much a household name already, you know. And, you know, you bring over somebody like, you know, Blake Snell, who's been there, done that, played in the biggest games. And, you know, you bring him to a team that already had, you know, Yu Darvish is already, you know, is killing it on the mound. And they're beating up on one of the best teams in all of baseball, the Dodgers. So if you're Padre fans, yes, you're behind in the standings right now. But, you know, it's a long season. We're not even at All-Star break yet. So expect maybe, you know, if they have to make a move depending on the, you know, the needs of the team, if they make a move or two, we might be looking at a team that's definitely postseason bound, but, you know, they can make a run. And I don't know if any pitchers want to see, you know, Fernando in the playoffs. he's literally becoming a threat to not just hit a home run, but just put the ball on the field, make something happen. And if you're a fan of SoCal baseball, we might get a Dodger Padre, first or second round matchup, and I think that'd be awesome for all of baseball. Playoffs, everything. So I'm getting a little carried away, but I can already kind of see the writing on the wall, and I do expect this to be, for fans, this has been a pretty heated, becoming a nice little, San Diego trip, and then for the San Diego fans coming back to LA. So it's gonna be, something to watch the rest of the season and see how the rest of these battles go between the two.
It has been must-watch baseball. A lot of people have been chiming in, and ESPN has even decided to broadcast some of these games. And in the last week or two, San Diego Padres had a reopening of their own, just like the Dodgers. The Dodgers had their reopening. I believe that was 2 weeks ago. And the Padres had their own reopening. And the phrase that's going around is that the Padres are owning Petco Park all over again. It's not Dodger Stadium #2 anymore. It's all Padres. We own it now. Just because a lot of Dodger fans are in attendance in Petco, hey, it's us. It's the Padres fans. They're overwhelming that stadium. And to continue on with your statement, Mark, as far as how Tatis is doing, this guy is leading almost every offensive category. He leads the team in batting average, 295, 25 home runs, 55 ribbies, and 384 on-base percentage. The only category he's not leading is his counterpart in the middle infield, Jay Cronenworth, as he leads with 85 hits. And with all due respect, like I said, this guy is going to be an up-and-coming star, and this is going to be the next top 5 second baseman. Mark my words on it, top 5 second baseman in the game if he's not already. This guy needs to get a lot more respect than what he's getting already. And the Padres right now 3 games behind the first place spot, behind the San Francisco Giants. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the Dodgers. We talked about them just briefly. The Dodgers coming off of that sweep against the Padres, because let's just face the facts. Right now, the Padres have the Dodgers numbers, and Dodgers just can't find it. They really can't find it, what it takes to really beat the Padres. And it's just the Padres figuring it out and winning the games that they need to win. But Dodgers coming off of a 2-game sweep against the San Francisco Giants. That was a much needed sweep. And now they get to go to the nation's capital. They get to play baseball, a 4-game series, and they get to play there in the 4th of July weekend. And we get to wake up and we just chime in. I get to watch the baseball on Sunday. Get to watch the boys in blue right then and there. They might be streaming that one on ESPN, as they usually do year in, year out. But I'm going to start off with Mark. Mark, what's it going to take for the Dodgers to really climb over the San Francisco Giants and try to take that first place spot like they have been doing within the last 8 years?
It's consistency. They got to be consistent throughout the rest of the season. They can't go on these they can't be, you can't get swept. We got to be able to take a game out of each series. If that's the mindset, we're probably not going to win every series, but if you can take a game, out of every series, that's the mindset. I think you won't be too far from making that jump, and they just got to stay healthy. I think that's been the biggest, concern for I guess Dodger Nation, is to make sure everybody's healthy, everybody's staying in rhythm. It's been a crazy 2 years. It's been a crazy 2 seasons, and still, COVID's still playing a big factor. If anybody gets hit with a I guess I don't know how to call it, a COVID strike, they're out for at least a couple weeks. So it's still, I guess you got to say, just stay healthy, stay within the protocols of the COVID, the guidelines and everything like that still. And just continue to play Dodger baseball. I went to a game a few weeks ago, and I think they scored was it 15 runs or so, whatever it was, like in the first inning.
Oh,
And that's what they're capable of. If you're talking about opposing pitchers, and yes, besides Padre fans, because they're all, they are owning. Yes, they are owning the Dodgers right now. There's no way around it. The Dodgers will have to get over that hump if they want to go back to back. But Dodger, that lineup is so filthy from top to bottom. Nobody wants to see a hot, streaky Dodger team, because if the bats are on, that's probably the best lineup in all of baseball. And the name of the game is scoring runs, and that pitching rotation will tighten up. But we'll see with the run that the Dodgers will have. And it's like I said, it's still early. We're not even at All-Star break yet. And Dodgers have been known to make some moves around that time to improve where they feel needed. So just stay tuned. I'll say leave it as that. Stay tuned. We're not in a bad situation. Um, and we'll probably make a move or two. So Dodger fans, stay tuned. Keep the eyes out for those headlines.
The Dodgers really haven't had very much consistency, as you mentioned. They had a pretty good start to the season. They went downhill with some injuries, and it's really just, like I mentioned, it's been a roller coaster ride for the Dodgers. Now, trying to find a groove, trying to find a rhythm, defeating some consistent team, trying to beat some above 500 teams, and they're starting to play some red hot baseball. As you mentioned, the injuries that the Dodgers have sustained, the Cody Bellinger injury has been pretty tough on them. He's slowly starting to get back, first with that shoulder surgery that he had during the offseason because of the celebration he had against the Atlanta Braves in the postseason last year. Mookie Betts has even admitted that, hey, I haven't been myself, but he's starting to light it up right about now. But the big name right now is Max Muncy right now. They just had his bobblehead on Tuesday night, the get it out of the water home run that he hit against the San Francisco Giants a couple years ago. This guy has been the big all-star, and I'm saying it right now, this guy needs to represent the Dodgers in the all-star game, and he definitely needs to go. But if you look at the stat leaders for the Dodgers, it's very spread out, and that's something that you like to see. No disrespect for a one-man show to lead it all the way around, but sometimes you like to see the offense spread out a little bit more. Justin Turner's leading the way, 285 average. Max Muncy with 17 long balls, 40 RBIs for Justin Turner. Max Muncy, 418 on base percentage. And hits, Justin Turner, 77. It's good to see the Red Monster be back in action and see him in the middle part of that lineup and start participating and start to get him back into, you know what, they signed him for that 2-year contract. I know the Dodgers and Turner were going back and forth in the offseason and such, but they were able to get him back, and he's doing exactly what he's been reported to do.
It might be a good thing that they're not where they're supposed to be at right now. I know in all, couple teams throughout sports, they get hot early and they fizzle out towards the time where it matters most. So, expect, them to make the right things at All-Star break and make that run. And if they get hot towards, October, nobody wants to see that.
no.
Yeah, they'll definitely be a tough team to be in October. That's where it all matters the most, and that's a whole different beast right there. But Dodgers, they're going to play in the nation's capital. They're going to be playing 4th of July weekend, 8:05 a.m. for us West Coast people. And as far as the Padres right now, they're playing against the Cincinnati Reds, and the Reds have been keeping it interesting there with the Padres. Now, let's talk about the Angels. Right now, they're over at New York. They're playing against the Yankees. They have split up the series. The first game went in the way of the Halos, able to, take advantage of the short outfield porch that they have out there. Ohtani has been Ohtani. I think that's well described right there. Ohtani coming off of a 3 home run game against the Yankees. He is just going yard. This guy's been crazy right now. And I think this guy, man, I don't even know. I can't even find the words to
Showtime.
describe. There you go. Showtime. He has been doing everything. He's been dominant on the mound. He's been swinging very well. It's almost like Mike Trout just said, here, take my bat. It's all yours right now while I'm decommissioned. I'm decommissioned right now. So, Jose, Angels right now, not exactly in the playoff position, but Shohei Ohtani has been amazing.
Yeah, amazing. And I'll be the first one to tell you. I'll go ahead and swallow this one. I didn't think he was going to be that good. I thought coming off a couple seasons ago, seeing how he got injured, I was like, okay, it's bound to happen again. He's probably going to be that pitcher where he's going to go ahead and get injured and be off and off the season. I remember the beginning of the year, too, there was a collision on home plate where we kind of got scared that something might have happened. But, he's been short and spectacular. I'll go ahead and say that. Never, at least in our lifetimes, have we ever seen this. A pitcher racking 3 home runs. And just alone the fact that, Mike Trout, guys, he's the best player in baseball. And we're sitting over here talking about Shohei Ohtani. Shows you the impact he's had over there in Anaheim. Unfortunately for Shohei, it's a problem about playing in Anaheim is that you're not getting talked as much as it should, right? Mark, you kind of talked briefly about Tatis kind of overshadowing Trout in terms of, obviously both spectacular players, but one of them has a little swag, one of them doesn't. But regardless, back on the Angels, they're playing in a really tough division, with the Astros and Mariners. They're all obviously a really good team. The Angels are a couple games under 500. They're not quite there yet. I think in a couple years, once they have a better pitching staff, they will be. But don't let them get hot. You know how it is in baseball. Some teams get hot, over 500. They make a good run. They're feeling themselves. Mike Trout's going to come back. Watch out for the Angels.
No doubt. I definitely think this is a team that you have to look out for. It's just, you guys, they just need a better rotation right now.
Yep.
Better rotation, better pen right now. Because you look at their lineup, they've got Jared Walsh, they have David Fletcher, they have Trout that's going to be coming back soon after the All-Star break. Of course, we mentioned Shohei Ohtani. They've got great pieces in place, and even Jose Iglesias, who's playing a mean shortstop over there for the Angels as well. J-Up is a guy that you can't discount as well. Maybe they call up Joe Adell, who's been swinging a mean bat over there in AAA in Salt Lake City. So I think they have a lot of offensive weapons, and you can't even discount Rendon as well, what he's been doing over there in Anaheim. He's looking like the Washington National self of him, but it doesn't matter how good you are offensively if you don't have the pitching to shut down the other team. You can put up a 4 spot in an inning, but the other team could just put it back, really. Like that AL West division has been pretty nice because of the A's, because of the Astros, and those two teams. I believe it's just going to be a dogfight between those two. I just don't think the Angels have what it takes to keep up with them. But if you ask me, Shohei, I think this guy is going to be the American League MVP. He may be the guy that Mike Trout will say, hey, you know what? I don't mind giving my MVP award to another Angel. Go for it. Next year, it's going to be a little friendly competition between Trout and Ohtani next year for sure. What do you think, Mark?
I think it's the same old story. We got a once in a lifetime, type player going crazy on the Angels, and they're not doing too much. It's just like Jose said. And just like you said too, Alex, you have all that firepower, but you need a rotation. I think this has been, exactly, that's been the same statement for the last decade since, Trout's been on the scene. Oh, they're good. They just got to get a pitching, get some pitchers in there. And it sucks because, from Orange County, you want to see the Angels in the playoffs. You really want to see Mike Trout in the playoffs for how great he's been. He hasn't had any, postseason success. I think they were on a 7-game winning streak, I believe. And now that they're back to below 500, I think 3 games below 500. And if anybody has to be consistent, it has to be them. They have the star power. They have the literally home run hitters all around the lineup. But let's get back to Showtime. He has been phenomenal, And just like J.J. Watt said, if there's any, criteria to be a most valuable player, I don't think there's anyone fitting that criteria more than Shohei. He's pitching. He's not just hitting. He is leading the MLB in home runs. So if you're a fan of the game, get out to Angel Stadium or wherever you're at, catch an Angel game because you're seeing something that hasn't really been done in over 60, 70, almost 80 years, And yeah, man, I just want to see the Angels be consistent. I want to see them make a run, even if they get a wild card spot. Let them get in there, let them go to the dance, and give SoCal fans another reason to be excited for baseball.
Absolutely. The Angels haven't been in the postseason since 2011 when they were eliminated by the Kansas City Royals. And Shohei Ohtani really has been must-watch baseball here in Anaheim. And if you ask me, this is like the reincarnation of Babe Ruth. Call me crazy, call me wild, but Babe Ruth was a two-way player as well. He was a pitcher that was able to rake back then in the early 1920s. And we're seeing a Babe Ruth-like figure coming to Anaheim, and he has been amazing on the mound and amazing with the bats. So it'll be interesting to see how he's going to look for the second half of the season. He is up there with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. as far as the most home runs in the league. Going to be an interesting to watch throughout the year. Hey, who wins that little battle between Vladdy Jr. and Shohei Ohtani? As the Angels are going to try to wrap things up with the Yankees tonight and see where they end up, see where they're going to end up for the 4th of July weekend. But we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, we will talk about Clippers basketball, the moment you guys have all been waiting for. And do they have enough to surpass the Phoenix Suns and go to the NBA Finals? It's been quite some time that we've seen a Clippers team in the NBA Finals. But if you're not on the sideline, it's not Sideline Sports Podcast, the source of your SoCal sports news. We'll be right back.
This is Jacob Huey, first baseman for the Long Beach State Dirtbags, and you're watching Sideline Sports Podcast.
And welcome back to the second half of Sideline Sports Podcast. Once again, I'm the host, Alex Naveja, where if you're not on the sideline, it's not Sideline Sports Podcast, the source of your SoCal sports news. And now in the bottom screen, Mark Vargas, NCAA, Football Insider, NFL, Combat Sports, and NBA Insider. And now on my left-hand side, that is Jose Duran. He is an all-around soccer insider and a SoCal sports insider. First half, we were talking all about the SoCal baseball scene as far as the Padres playing red-hot baseball right now and barely coming off of that sweep against the Dodgers. And the Dodgers now coming off of a 2-game sweep against the San Francisco Giants. And both of these teams really tightening up the standings in the top half of the NL West. And as far as the Angels are concerned, just enjoying having Shohei Ohtani and what he's been doing on a nightly basis with the bat and with the baseball as well. And looking forward to seeing him swinging out in the home run derby. Now, let's talk about some basketball. The Clippers, they're pinned against the corner, and they know it, and they refuse to go down and refuse to let their playoff run come to an end. Now, the Clippers, it's been amazing to see what they've been able to do on the court without their star Kawhi, or now even with Zubac being short of their big man. How are they doing this, Mark? How is it that the Clippers are still getting the job done? I mean, PG coming off of a 40-point game and really keeping up with Devin Booker on the other side.
Well, you just said it. PG, Paul George. That's the the stat line that was brought up the other day during the game was, I think he's 100 more minutes than the second player and the most minutes in the NBA playoffs. He's been the Clippers, throughout the entire playoffs. they've had their back against the wall and pretty much, I guess, yeah, in every series, and like you said, backed against the wall. But now who's the pressure on? It's not on the Clippers. They had that pressure the other day, one being one game away from being eliminated. So if I'm the Suns, I don't want to. We're in LA. I don't want to go back to a game 7 in Phoenix with the possibility of having Kawhi come back, with the possibility of having Zubac come back, and with the possibility of all the momentum being in the Clippers, I guess pen. You know what I mean? So it's tough for me still. It's a very great matchup. These teams match up, perfectly. There's a lot of scoring going around. There's a lot of defense going around. There's a lot of chippiness going around. I expect there to even be more chippiness tonight. I know with the being a former player, athlete, whenever you see some extra, curricular activity going on, and you see that team again, it's something you remember that. And I think with the Pat Bev celebrating, they're not really celebrating. I mean, yeah, celebrating, kind of being Pat Bev. When Chris Paul went down early or went down in the game last time, and yeah, Chris Paul's fine, but you don't know that as a player, you don't know if that guy's going to get back up or not. And you see him grabbing a leg, an ankle. I mean, we just saw Giannis last night. Trae Young the other night. And you look at all the injuries throughout the playoffs. So you know that there's a possibility of this guy being hurt, and you're over here showboating. I mean, the fans were booing the hell out of him, and it's the players. I guarantee you saw that clip, and it's going to be chippy tonight. It's going to be a 12-round boxing matchup, and I'm going to compare it to a 12-round boxing matchup. Expect the bigs to get in there and dirty. For the Suns, they need a big game from DeAndre Ayton. If I'm the Clippers, you need another big game from was it Markieff or it's Markieff, right?
Marcus.
Marcus. You're gonna need a big game from him. You're gonna need a big game from your role players. You're gonna need a big game from every team. That's gonna be the key to this matchup. Morris came out, I think, 7 for 7 in the last game. When you have a performance like that out the gate, the Suns were behind basically the whole game. I think they were up maybe a couple minutes throughout the whole game. So it's key. Whoever has that player to step up, it's been for the Suns campaign. He's had a couple games where he's dropped 20-plus points, and they blew out, the Lakers, or they blew out the Nuggets. Devin Booker, he's been kind of, he kind of got things going back to where we saw Devin Booker, how he's been the rest of the playoffs, this last game. But, for them to win, it's going to take a 40-point, Devin Booker performance. It's going to take a 20-point, 15-assist game from Chris Paul. It's going to take, Crowder to make, 3, maybe 4 3-pointers, in clutch moments. It's going to take Ayton to have a 20-and-20 game. It's going to take something for both teams, to get over, because none of these teams want to lose. Both of these franchises haven't been to the finals, or the Suns haven't been since '93, which is basically a full lifetime for a lot of fans. And then you got the Clippers, who have never even been to the finals. So they're both on that verge. They both don't want to go home, and it's gonna take it's gonna take a knockout punch for either of these teams to get sent home. And as a fan, we love that. So make sure we tune in tonight. If I had to take a prediction, I'm going to go tonight, game 6. If we get 40-plus from Devin Booker, the Suns take it. If we don't, we're going to game 7, and it will be a winner take all. And we'll talk to that about that later. But, That's my thing. Devin Booker drops 40 plus, the Suns will be going to the NBA Finals. If he doesn't, hey, we're gonna have a Game 7.
No doubt. Right now, the Clippers, if they want to stay alive for another day, they need to find more help with the bench. I mean, Nicholas Batum hasn't been exactly it in the last game, only scoring 2 points. That's not going to cut it for someone to come off of the bench. Right now, the starters, as Marcus Morris coming off with that 22-point performance. Reggie Jackson has been a guy that has been really short of being advertised. He's came in scoring 23. And this is a guy that usually comes off of the bench. And for a guy that's replacing Kawhi at the moment, he's been doing a pretty excellent job. It's not Kawhi a work, as Kawhi usually does score 30 points in games, usually averaging around that time. But I mean, when you have the backbone of the team in PG really scoring 41 points, you have the rest of the team that's going to want to keep up with him, and it's going to want to, try to keep up with PG. But like Mark said, when you have a guy that has been described as Kobe-like in Devin Booker and making headlines like that Devin Booker is looking like Kobe, wow, that's very hard to defeat when you have a playoff Kobe-like figure as your counterpart. So moving forward, I mean, Jose, what do you think are going to be the keys for the Clippers to be able to stay alive for a Game 7 and be able to have that chance to go to their first ever NBA final?
Yeah, I think they have to follow Coach Lou's game plan. I think whatever he decided defensive tactically has been working like a charm. And it's been, anyone's going to beat me but Booker and Chris Paul. The way he's been defending them is just anyone but him. And honestly, guys, I completely think the series is over and the Clippers are going to go to the NBA Finals for the first time in their history. Because it was for the Suns to go ahead and close it out. The first time to go ahead and be in the NBA Finals since 1993. You're playing at home. And you didn't just lose close. You lost by a lot. You got owned. And I think that's going to be the key part for the Clippers and Paul George. Paul George, we all know he's a great player. We all know what he can do. But he's a great number two. Right now, Kawhi's injured. Obviously, we all know that. He's been taking over. But if he's able to go ahead and have the Clippers up by double digits like he did in the last game, he should be fine. If it's a close game, we saw what happened in Game 2 in those 2 free throws. He's a 90% free throw shooter in the line. He misses those 2 free throws. He makes those 2 free throws, guys, too. It's a whole different series. So it's been a back-and-forth series, I think. But I think the key part of the whole series was the Suns not being able to close it out in game 5. So it's Game 6 now for the Clippers at home. I strongly believe they're going to go ahead and handle the business now back here. And Game 7, Mark, like you said, is a toss-up. But if the Clippers were able to go ahead and defend the way they have to be, defending Devin Booker and Chris Paul, it's over. And not to mention, right, like you mentioned, Alex, too, Zubac went out and Marcus Morris came in like a glove and fit in perfectly. Not only to mention, too, DeMarcus Cousins, 11 minutes, 15 points. That's huge. No one's expecting that. Reggie Jackson. The Clippers are a great team. And if you look at it in terms of kind of the players I just mentioned and everything, the way they've been playing a lot better than the Phoenix Suns have, And like I said, just defend Devin Booker the way they're supposed to, defend Chris Paul the way they have to. And I see the Clippers going into the NBA Finals.
Absolutely. No doubt. I definitely think that the Clippers have a really good squad and they have had their trips and their downfalls during the season, but it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one as the Clippers being short of their 2 guys, not having Zubac or not having Kawhi. I think it's going to be very interesting to see how this game unwinds tonight as you've got a full Phoenix Suns team. They still have their big man. They still have their full team. They have both Chris Paul and Devin Booker. But I mean, Mark, final thoughts of what's going to go down tonight.
Like I said earlier, it's going to be a barn burner. It's going to be a heavyweight matchup. But expect a lot from the little guys. When I mean that, expect a lot from Reggie Jackson. expect a lot from Pat Bev. And I'm not, maybe not points wise for Pat Bev, but defensively. In order for the Clippers to win, they got to slow down Devin Booker. They got to continue to slow down Chris Paul. And if Pat Bev, we saw a little bit last game, him kind of being Pat Bev. He gets those dirty minutes, and I'm not calling him a dirty player, but those dirty minutes where you're in there, you're physical, you're playing nasty, you're, poking at the ball, you're slapping hands, not getting any fouls. And you know what? If he fouls out, they're fine with that. If he's, consistently causing, the Devin Booker to dribble up the whole court, full court pressing him. Those matter, in a game where if it's close in the fourth quarter, if you're wasting energy having to dribble up the court, it's gonna be tough for either team to win. Like if you're on the Clippers looking against the Suns, all right, we got to slow down the point god. They call him Chris Paul. It's his legacy almost. That's been his whole thing, is he's not been able to make it to the finals. He's been up 3-1 on on good teams before, and they've come back and beat him. So I think that's in the back of his head. And we kind of touched on it with Paul George being in a close game situation and jitters getting to him. That might be going on with Chris Paul right now. And like you said, Devin Booker is Kobe-like, and I think if he wants to continue that, comparison, what's more Kobe-like than eliminating a team on the road, Game 6, hostile environment, after maybe, he had a good individual performance, but a pretty not a good team performance, where everybody is like, oh, Clippers have the momentum. It's clear, Clippers are probably going to be the favorites to win tonight. But if you're Devin Booker, this is when you show on the lights in Kobe's house too. Don't get it twisted. It's Staples Center, but that's Kobe's house. Kobe built that entire stadium. And, Kobe's, I know when the Suns beat the Lakers, Devin Booker had that quote after the game. He said, I felt Kobe in the arena. Kobe will be in the arena tonight. That jersey will be up there, both of them, and they don't cover Kobe's jersey up. So if Devin Booker needs to, pull some motivation from that, he will. So, like I said, it's gonna take a phenomenal performance, and I called it before when we were previewing the rest of the Lakers and Suns. I said, look, hey, Lakers are great. Lakers need to stay healthy, but what they have to worry about is that bad man, Devin Booker. He can drop points if he's hot, and I know he's dealing with that broken nose right now, but if he's able to go and he's able to get points, you just got to go with the Suns. But like I said, Clippers are the favorites right now, and it's going to take a phenomenal performance for the Suns to beat them tonight. So I'm excited. I got my popcorn ready. I think I'm going to grill some steaks, a little, I guess, a preview of the 4th of July. We got the game will be all the fireworks you need. So, Alex, what do you, I'm putting you on the spot, Alex. What's your prediction for tonight?
Wow. Well, you really are putting me on the spot right now. It is here in Staples Center. It's here in LA. The Clippers will have that luxury of being here at home. But I just don't see the Clippers stopping the Suns right now. I think this is a team that will rebound and come back from behind in the last game that they lost. I just don't see the Clippers being able to beat a good Phoenix Suns team. This team has it all. They've got a great three-point shooting team. They have an excellent big man in DeAndre Ayton. I love that 1-2 punch of Chris Paul and and Devin Booker, it just takes for those two guys to get things going. Chris Paul to be Chris Paul, that setup man, that point guard that he is, to be able to, I love the way that Chris Paul plays, that he drives it in, finds a man dishing it out behind the arc, or finds a man to be able to hand off to there at the inside of the paint. And I just love the selfless basketball that Chris Paul plays. And at times when he needs to be a scorer, he could be a scorer. And I definitely say that if it's not Chris Paul, you're going to get it from Devin Booker. And there's plenty of guys that can come off of the bench that can make things happen as well. I mean, Crowder's been a mean three-point shooting threat. I think Craig that can come off of the bench could be a big threat. Cam Payton is going to be a nice piece as well. It's one of those, hey, Chris Paul can't get it together. We're going to go with Cameron Payne, and he's going to be our go-to guy to be that scorer. So I see the Phoenix Suns getting the job done tonight, and they're going to wait to see, hey, are we playing the Hawks or are we going to play the Bucks?
And that's with the unfortunate injury that happened last night with Giannis, and that's a nasty, scary injury. They're talking about maybe a torn ACL. We'll find out later today what the details. I mean, he's not going to be 100% regardless, So, this might be the actual finals matchup. This might, these next one, possibly two games might be the toughest games they might play the rest of the season, especially with Trae Young. He's battling an injury too. So, it's fun. It's exciting times for sports fans. We hit up SoCal baseball earlier. We're talking, Western Conference Finals right now. And I don't know, man. It seems like, we're in the sports capital of the world, baby. Nothing beats living out here, watching everything, I'm just excited. I love being able to have the fans back in the stadium. It's going to be the atmosphere tonight for tonight's game 6 is going to be on it. And look I don't know that there is even that many Clipper fans. So I don't know what's going on with all those Clipper fans showing. I know like maybe one Clipper fan, So, but it's cool to see, Staples Center's, LA's it's going to be rocking tonight. And, I know me and you, Alex, we're always on Twitter, and it's, I love watching the game, and I love watching the game on Twitter. And it's, hey, before we go, Alex, I got to give a shout out to my boy, Jay Simp, day one Phoenix Suns fan. He's been calling it. He called it last, during the bubble. Hey, next year we just got to bring one piece in, and, we're going to make a run. I said, what, man? Suns? Man, this thing, you don't got Steve Nash anymore. You don't got Sean Marion. And he's like, nah, we got Devin Booker, and we're going to be rolling. So, we had a little beef during the Lakers-Suns matchup, but you know what? Now, hey, if they get it done tonight, hey, Jay Simp, congrats, and, go get that ring.
Well, you guys could definitely watch that game at 6 p.m. It will be on ESPN tonight, so make sure to chime into that one because it's going to be a bloodbath, if you ask me. It's going to be going down to the wire. Every minute is precious in that one. But that's all the time we have left here on Sideline Sports Podcast. We thank you all so much for tuning into this one. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please give it a thumbs up. Also, hit the subscribe button down below. We're just around the corner from 300 folks. And don't forget, we still have that giveaway that we said that we were going to be making happen. So remember, we will be promoting that. We are still going to make that happen. So make sure, get those subscriptions in. Make sure to comment, follow us on all of our social media handles. I'll put all of that in the description below as well. So you guys can always stay up to date with everything we have going on, the episodes that are coming on, and another reason to hit the subscription button. You guys never know who will get on the podcast as well. Because I know the first guest that Mark has on the center lock, he's got someone big don't want to drop any names if you haven't seen it yet, but he's got someone big coming up. So make sure hit the subscribe button and make sure to follow us on our social media handles. We've got some great folks coming on to the podcast as well. But thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. And before we close this episode, make sure go on manscaped.com, use our promo code Sideline20 to save yourself 20% off plus free shipping. We'll take care of that for you guys. You guys can get great tools like this one. The shaving is accurate. It's not painful at all. It's how many LED lights do you get to see on products like this? Get yourself a little traveling case as well. The family package, they hook you up with everything that you need at a great discounted rate with our promo code. So use it. Sideline 20. That's all you guys got to do. But I'm Alex Naveja signing off from Sideline Sports Podcast. And alongside of me is Mark Vargas, and in part of Jose Duran, who is our soccer insider and also an all-around SoCal insider. Mark Vargas, our NCAA football, NFL, combat sports, and NBA insider. I'm Alex Naveja signing off from this one, and enjoy all of the baseball and Game 6 of the Clippers.
And happy 4th of July, everybody. Stay safe out there.
Stay safe. Make smart decisions out there. Don't be reckless. And have a good one, everybody. We'll see you guys next time.